If I could reach the storm pouring down for you, shining on my heart.
Hi, I'm Bart Herbison, Executive Director, Nashville Songwriters Association, with two amazing music creators, Mr. Wayne Kirkpatrick and Mr. Gordon Kennedy. And again, with Tommy Sims, you were the three writers on Change the World. Do you remember the day?
Well, I remember that we were in Quad Studio in the spring of 1991. And this, like I mentioned before, the music that we gave Garth, just, hey, here's what we're doing, was 4 songs. And we had cut those 4 songs over the course of a couple of days or whatever over at Quad. But on one of the downtime moments, you know, in between recording things there, Tommy brought out an acoustic guitar and said, hey fellas, is this something that this group could do? And started playing the intro riff for Change the World, and he had a title at that point. And I remember specifically thinking, well, this reminds me of McCartney, and I love it. I'm not sure what was going through your mind. I'm sure Tommy was probably thinking, man, I hope it doesn't sound too much like Stevie Wonder for these guys to like. But that's where we first heard the initial thing, and then Wayne, I know he took it at some point.
Yeah, it kind of sat, and at some point it came back up as, oh, we should look at that song. And I remember sitting with Tommy, had a cassette player. I was like, play that idea that you had, and recorded it, and then I know I drove around with it for a while just in my car. And if you know Tommy, he would sing Change the World, and it was like, I think he's kind of thinking of this as like a kind of a peace and love,
hands across the studio,
yeah, kind of thing. And I just know at one point I was like, I wonder what if this song could be a love song, and could be, if I could change the world, you would be in love with me, you know, instead of a social, you know, social awareness kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so from there, I kind of ran with that for a little bit, and wrote a little bit of it lyrically, and then again it sat for a while, and then this band concept was still continuing, but I know it was kind of fizzling out. But Gordon was going to be going to Indiana.
Well, I had one more last hurrah with a label that had been flirting with signing us for 8 months. And they had an exclusive thing and a developmental thing with us, and we weren't allowed to play this for anybody else. I thought, I'm going to do one more session, and it was Columbus, Ohio. Where I went, and Tommy he was up there doing a church choir album of all things, and I went up there and we put down the track.
He called me. I said, I'm going to go up to Ohio. I'm going to do a demo on this Change the World song. I was like, okay, but it's not finished.
I'll meet you there.
And he's like, well, send me what you got, and I'll finish it on the way up there. So I was like, okay, here's what I've got, and then he took it from there and finished it, and they demoed it up there. So we were never in the room together.
You know, that's a true collaboration.
And it took a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was over the course of a year.
How did Clapton get it?
Well, the first thing that happened with the song, as far as any activity, was Don Potter walked into Polygram Music, who I wrote for, listening to songs for what would be Winona's next record, ultimately was Revelations. That was the only song he left with that day. And now, the funny thing about it is when I turned that song into Polygram, when I signed with Doug Howard over there, I said, that's the first song I turned in on my new deal. I said, can you get this to Eric Clapton? He had just done Tears in Heaven. But that's not how it happened, though. They got Winona. And so, but that album, it was 2.5 years from the time that we got a hold on that song for her, that her album came out. And we were told this was going to be a single. And then when the album finally came out, we watched them put out 1, 2, then 3 songs that weren't Change the World. And I remember Tony Brown saying, I don't know, it's not going to be a single. So, you know, we were, you know, disappointed and everything. But at some point, I'm in the studio with Tommy. He's playing bass. He looks across the room from me and says, we're getting another cut on Change the World. What? It's Eric Clapton. And so what had happened was Kathy Nelson, who's a music supervisor, Touchstone Pictures, a lot of Bruckheimer films, Armageddon, Con Air, and Phenomenon was on her plate at the moment. And she had been in Tony Brown's office visiting when he just said on a lark, check out this song I'm gonna cut on Winona, and played Kathy Nelson our demo, and she remembered that song later when she was casting.
She was
music.
looking for something for Babyface and Eric Clapton to do.
Wow.
And she had called Babyface and said, "Would you produce a song on Clapton for this soundtrack?" "Yes." "Would you do a song you didn't write?" "Yes." And then she put that together.
Wow.
But so we can say that Tony Brown pitched songs for us.
That's an incredible story behind the song this week for the Tennessean. It's Mr. Gordon Kennedy, Mr. Wayne Kirkpatrick, and this week the song has changed the world.
Being